Okay, so I have a scale here that I can measure in grams. And I'm using a certain type of measuring beaker for the powder and the liquid. And I pre-measured a certain amount. I pre-measured a certain amount of powder. Okay, I pre-measured 52 cubic centimeters of polymer. And I measured as much as I could to make this as accurate as possible. Right now the scale measures 0, obviously, because there's nothing on it. But if I were to measure an empty beaker here, it reads 12 grams. I'm going to 0 that. So if when I remove it, it should say -12. Let me do that again. $11 or $12. Very close to it. I'll do it for the third time. Sensitive scale. Okay, 11. 0 that, and now we're at 0. Remove it. We should be at -11. Okay? So I've measured out 52 cubic centimeters of polymer. Now we're going to weigh that in grams. And that's 41 grams. 41 grams. So if we take 41 grams and divide by the mixing ratio of 2 to 1 for most heat cure acrylics, that gives us 20.5 milliliters of monomer, right? 20.5 milliliters of monomer. But you might not always have a scale to measure. So what if you don't have a scale? Well, what we can do, remember that number, 20.5. So if I took 52 cubic centimeters of polymer that's inside there and divide by 20.5, gives me a ratio of 2.53. 2.53. So what does that mean? That means for every 52 cubic centimeters of polymer, not grams, make sure you're working with the right units, 52 cubic centimeters of polymer like I have here, if I divide that by 2.53, should give me the proper amount of monomer, which is 20.55. Okay, 20.55, which is exactly what I had before, right? Now, if we take our traditional method of measuring this and using the ratio of 3 to 1, 52 divided by 3 equals 17.33. That's a big difference of 17.33 to 20.55. Okay? So you can certainly measure things from cubic centimeters to grams and use the 2 to 1 ratio. But if you don't have a scale, a very easy conversion is 2.5. If you can remember that number. You can go into 2.55, but 2.5 works every time. So if we were to take a round number and measure 30 cubic centimeters of polymer, traditionally, you would think, oh, I need 10 milliliters of monomer, right? But for every 30 cubic centimeters of polymer, according to the ratio, conversion ratio of 2.5 is 12. That's a big difference. So especially when you're dealing with a case that requires 60 cubic centimeters for an upper and lower. So if you divide that 2.5, it's 24. If you use a 3-to-1 ratio, it's 20. That's a big difference, 4 milliliters of liquid. So I just wanted to provide some clarification on that. If you are weighing your polymer, by all means, use the 2-to-1 ratio. And that's true for most heat cure acrylics. It might vary for a very small percentage, which you're probably gonna make an error just measuring things anyways. So just to round things off, if you're weighing it, it's 2-to-1. If you're measuring it, like we have here in cubic centimeters, it's 2.5-to-1. So therefore, if we're doing 90 grams for a rather large case, 90 grams of polymer, you'd think 3-to-1, you should have 30 milliliters of monomer. But if you're using the 2.5 ratio, you actually have 36. And I've done this in the past, and I've always kept on going back and adding more monomer because 30 milliliters of monomer was never enough. So I'll put this to the test and see what the consistency is. So I have my 52 cubic centimeters of powder. And according to my formula, 52 divide by 2.5 equals, I need 20, almost 21. I'll round that off to 21.